I know. What they...
1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see if this works. Okay, it's live. Okay.
Hi, welcome everybody to Life Changing Solutions. This is Angie Amico, and today I have Brad with me. Thank you for being here.
Thank
welcome
you for
back.
Thanks for having me back.
Well, last time you were here, it's like I told everybody how much I really admired you, and you've been like a role model for me, and you were an instructor, and that's how we met. And ever since then, we've had the opportunity to kind of just bounce back ideas and stuff like that. And right now, I'm really excited about what you're up to. You've been, really working on this whole new body of work about men, right? And
Yes.
So why don't you go ahead and share about that?
So what I've found is that I have a very busy therapy and coaching practice, and what I've found is that so many of my cases have to do with, honestly, the failures of men. And so let's say I have 100 clients that I see in a month's time. Half of those are men who are feeling powerless or doing destructive things to try to regain some sense of significance. 30 of them are women who are frustrated with some man in their life or are traumatized by something that's happened by a man.
Mm-hmm.
Or their parents dealing with teenage boys. And so I would say 75% of the cases that I'm working with have to do with men who are weak, men or young men who are weak and who are being ridiculous in their attempts to grow some strength back.
And so what I'm hearing, through your practice, you've realized that there's been like a pattern showing up
Mm-hmm.
whether it's women complaining about men or men just really having issues and not being able to thrive, not being able to know how to cope or handle situations. And that's where you're like, okay, there's something here.
Yeah.
Where do you think all of this is coming from?
I think that I don't know exactly, but I know that there are some just cultural things that have happened over the last maybe 50 years in our country and maybe throughout the world where men have kind of been trained to be nicer, and I think that there was a need for that, but the accidental kind of the side effect of that is we've lost some of the traditional masculine strengths that make men great. The world needs men just like we need women with their inherent gifts and talents, and we're just losing men. And I tell you, the generation of young men right now, we're in trouble with what's happening with our young men, our teenage boys. A lot of that has to do with lack of effective role models in fathering and so forth. But that's I don't know what else is creating it, but I just know it's real, and it's affecting families and individuals. Suicide rates for men are higher than they've ever been, and we're addicted, we're aggressive, and I think a lot of that stems from the feeling of powerlessness and other kinds of problems that we don't know how to face. Men are confused, lost. We don't maybe feel like we have a sense of identity, and this is nothing that has happened to us. I don't want to blame feminism or any, I don't want. I put the blame on men. We need to step up, and so part of what I'm trying to do is create a program with a partner of mine, Derek Johnson, where we're going to help men get back to their leadership qualities. That first we're disciplined with ourselves, but also that we can lead in our homes and with our families, and especially with our children and our significant relationships.
And one of the things too is unfortunately nowadays everything's so sensitive, or you have to be careful of being politically correct. And so one of the things that I want to touch on is when you say having men be men, it's not the burly, manly.
Yeah, you don't have to shoot animals to be a man. I don't think that's necessary.
Okay, so then what is it that you refer to, or what are you referring to when you say having men be men again?
I'm talking about responsibility, not being a victim, not victimizing others, for sure. That's definitely what I don't mean. Some people are confusing this push for masculinity with toxic masculinity, which I hate that term, and I just think it's kind of a bunch of hooey, really. When people are being toxic, they're toxic human beings. But anyway, leadership, discipline, being reliable, working hard, being resourceful, and really to just stop making excuses, but also not to apologize for being who we are. You know, we imagine telling a group of people, maybe a marginalized group, hey, although you're born this way, don't have these feelings, don't live the way you think you should, and you know, shaming people for their inherent qualities or whatever. We've kind of accidentally, I think, done that to men. And of course, we don't, you know, men shouldn't be aggressive and violent and those kind of things. But while softening men, it's created all kinds of other problems. And I think, again, things like violence and aggression stem from passivity gone far too, you know, we've gone the wrong direction with that. And so assertiveness, what are some of the other qualities we're trying to hit here?
You know, as you're thinking about it, because something that's
Yeah.
coming up for me, and just I think taking it out of the gender specificness, I guess. One of the things that I teach is about like really being in harmony, because I think right now a lot of the things that's happening is that we have too many extremes. So as I hear you saying, you know, it's like be who you want to be, right? Like don't really conform to those norms, but be all that you can be, you know, as cliche as that sounds, right? But it's like, you know, and stop being so extreme. It's like just because, you know, you're soft or tender or sensitive doesn't make you weak. And that's, I think, another thing that we're just really twisting, and we're not really having a full understanding of that weakness doesn't necessarily mean being sensitive, or being vulnerable doesn't mean that you're weak. It could be a huge sign of leadership or of being confident, you know, but we're afraid to show that. So
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about vulnerability, you know, and I guess I have some mixed feelings about that. I do think there needs to be a measure of vulnerability with all people, but when we're talking about that with men, it gets complicated, because I think men should show emotion. When men cry in front of me, I think, yes, victory. Get those tissues, let's cry about this and let's deal with it. And then you're going to go home and handle your business and be responsible and do the things that, you know, your family needs you to do. So feeling emotion, I don't want the kind of masculinity where guys just have to be stoic and can't have any, you know, any feelings at all. That's not true manhood. I sat with a man on Sunday, kind of a spiritual leader of mine, who when as we talked, there were some emotion shared, little teary-eyed feelings about sensitive topics that I'm working on with myself, and valuable. This is a leader, this is a strong man. I feel like it is strength to be able to show that. But vulnerability, what I don't like about the vulnerability message is that maybe you see yourself as a victim. If I'm vulnerable, I need help. I think true masculinity you know, it relates to people who can be the rescuer of those that need help, to be a protector of those that are maybe overly vulnerable. So I don't know if that's making any sense.
no, I totally hear you, and I think it's really important. I love what you're up to, because you do have that manly perspective. You know, it would be difficult for me to sit here and speak into it, because I may be a recipient, I guess, of the behavior of like male or masculine behaviors, but I don't have a full understanding, and it's difficult for me. And I may be expecting a man to be vulnerable, constantly crying or what have you, but may not be what a man needs. Does that make sense? So I really appreciate, you know, you doing this work, because the other thing too is right now, again, speaking into the whole politically correctness and everybody being overly sensitive, it's you taking this on, not only because it's needed, but also taking it on at a time when it is such a big feminine, you know, movement and woman empowerment. You could be looked upon as you're screwing us up, man.
Yeah, like I'm some radical, you know, like
Yeah.
that's exactly right. This is the new religion. You know, it used to be don't talk about religion and politics. Now it's don't talk about gender.
Right.
We're going to push buttons, and you know, I'm not really afraid. I think one of the mottos in the work that we're doing has to do with no apologies. I don't want to apologize for being a man and having certain, you know, drives and things. I think kids should wrestle around on the playground and you know, regardless of the peer-reviewed research, boys are going to be boys. What I want to see is that boys turn into men, you know, and that doesn't mean men who are dominating and who are being, you know, selfish and demanding and that kind of thing, but people who are true leaders. And if you think about, I don't know, my favorite movie of all time is The Gladiator. I just watched it with my kids a week or two ago. That's a man. It's a fictional character, but we have so few examples of that in the media. You know, men are kind of seen as these bumbling idiots. And are we reflecting reality? Maybe. That's what men really are these days. But I think we're capable of so much more. Okay, you've softened us, society. We've softened. We've chilled out a lot. But we also need strength in the world, and we need men to be able to step up, be providers and protectors. You know, a disgusting thing that I see. This may be personal. Tell me what do you think of this? I see this all the time, and I'm just sensitive to it. I see a woman driving a vehicle, and in the passenger seat is her man, who's got the seat leaned way back. You know, maybe he's on his phone, not talking to the woman who paid for the car, who's going to the store to buy things for the family, while he sits there and just kind of waits and is driven around by her. That stuff drives me crazy because I feel like I know exactly what's happening. She's taking care of him. And there was a time I didn't like to drive, and I would just let my wife drive me around. And I realized, you know what? I don't like how this feels. Plus, I'm anxious, and I'm a backseat driver, so I want to get back in behind the wheel. But I think that represents a lot of what's happening out there. Women have made amazing progress, and I think women should continue to do that. But I think we could learn almost from women that you have to be independently responsible and accountable. Handle your damn business. And women are doing that in a big way. It's admirable. I love that. And I just think men have kind of gotten lost in the shuffle, and we got to get back to being strong.
No, and I love that, and absolutely. And I think, you know, going back to one of the conversations you and I were having earlier, as far as like that description really depicts what I see from the female perspective, right? Like we've like done so many things to really be empowered and independent, so much so that now we're taking care of our men, and then we're complaining about it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's also, I think, sending a confusing message to men as well, because it's like men are like, well, then I don't know what you want.
What am I supposed to be?
Right. You know, it's like, so I think that really coming together, and again, each relationship is different and it's going to look differently. So whatever fits and works for you, by all means, but it's like, take personal responsibility. Like I'm all about that. I don't care what gender you are and what preferences you may have. It's like, you know what, if I want to be the one driving, then I'm not going to complain that you don't.
Right. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, and that's what and it's like, or maybe today I love to drive, using that example. On road trips, I will drive. I struggle driving at night. So maybe I'm going to drive during the day, you drive at night.
Right.
And that's the you know, the pairing or the agreement that we have, and that works for us, great. But again, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, I drove all day, you didn't do anything.
Right. And I think that the best kind of control or the best kind of leadership is when there's shared control. And I think in partnered relationships, you know, people have to both contribute equally. And that's what I guess I'm talking about. I don't think men are contributing enough. It's not about I want men to be in charge and we're going to rule the world and take back, you know, ownership of everything from women. Not that way at all. It's about men need to be contributing more to their own happiness, to their family and their romantic relationships, and to our community. And somehow, as we've softened men, we've lost some of those traditional virtues that are just so important. And I hope that we can help with some of the work that's happening right now, that we can help restore some of that in the traditional honorable aspects of manhood and masculinity.
And I like the way you put that, the restoring of it, because granted, in the past, there's been some chauvinistic or not very tasteful male or masculine behaviors. But there's also, I think we've lost a lot of the, gentleman behaviors from the past, right? Like that art, if you will, has also been lost through the times. And I love that you're speaking into that. Like, let's restore that. Let's restore, having men open the doors for women or anybody, and again, just being nice guys, responsible, and contributing equally to their family, to their society, whatever their environment looks like, and being active in that way. That's what it means to be a man by your definition.
Yes. So, yeah, but there's a concept out there about the nice guy syndrome, and that's where we're nice. Men have become much nicer. I feel like I'm a nice guy, but I for so much of my life have lived the very things I'm talking about. I mean, I started college as an art major, so I was on a football scholarship, but I was an art major. Okay, so I had some sensitivities. They always thought I was the gay football player, and then when they found out my roommate was also an art major, they thought and it was just a funny thing. But I'm a sensitive guy. I'm a nice guy. But for so long in my life, I thought by pleasing other people, I could get love in return that I needed or expected. And what I forgot to do was just take personal, individual accountability for my own happiness. And I put that, at the feet of a person that I thought should do something for me. And women are happy, I think, many times to take care of people. So we're taking care of our men. We feel empowered. If I'm the woman, I'm feeling empowered. I feel significance again. I have a great income. I'm driving him around in my nice car. And then the women get upset because he's not pulling his weight. So I get so sidetracked. Where were we even? What were we talking about?
No, I love it though, and something that I think something that I teach in it's one of the fundamentals is words have a definition, and they have a meaning. And something that I'm seeing you struggle with is just. But I love that you're taking this on, is because a lot of the same words that you're using have, the same definition across the board, but we have given it a different meaning. Even the whole boys will be boys, right? That, even listening to you speak into it, it's like, yeah, boys are going to be, roughhouse. They're going to, mischievous and do little things. But that doesn't make them bad. It does,
Right.
And it's not an excuse.
Not an excuse.
For poor...
For criminal behavior,
Thank you.
for victimizing people. No, that's not what I'm defending. I'm defending being wired somewhat for aggression. I was just reading the other day about how Bette Midler, after the London terror attack, Bette Midler tweeted something about men and religion are both worthless because men are the terrorists. Well, so are the soldiers who go in to kill the terrorists. Men are the rapists. Men are the ones shooting up the schools and the events. So are the officers that go in to protect. And so, yes, men can destroy, males can destroy and do plenty of it, but they also are building. That's the stuff I want to harness and foster. We're builders. We're creators. We are leaders. And anyway.
No, I absolutely love that. And again, the fact that you are... not even creating a new context, because all you're doing is highlighting and providing and reframing, some of the things that we have lost, right? And so, yeah, man and woman, really, humans can be destructive, but they also can be very much a creator. And men are very strong, powerful individuals, but we have focused so much on the negative that now it's like, oh, that's what they've become.
Right.
And, so I really, give you, I love this. I'm all excited. I can't even speak because it's this is amazing, because I really do feel that this is what's needed. We're running out of time. So
Okay.
What is it? I know you're working on something, so you don't really want to disclose all of it. But we can find you if you guys are interested in learning more about Brad or even booking an appointment with him. You can go to bradsingletary.com.
And I'll post some other links. So I'm writing a book. I'm working on a podcast. We've done 3 episodes, and got a new website and a whole new, maybe a mastermind type of group for men. And it's exciting stuff. We're just polishing some of it up, and I'll have some links there soon. So I really appreciate you having me here.
No, I love you being here, and when you're ready, you will be back again so we can promote this big old program that I'm so excited about.
Yes.
And even though, like, I know it's geared for men, it's like it's not a bad idea for women to also be in the know.
Yeah.
Right? And just find out how they can support.
Yeah, we're important resources for each other. We need to understand each other better. That's for sure.
All right. Well, thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, everybody. Till next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.